In this video, I'm looking at a black box, or more specifically, what came inside it. You know what I'm talking about. You clicked on the thumbnail. Let's get it. What's cracking, audio fans? It's David here from Prime Audio Reviews. So I'm looking today at the Thor Mjölnir. I think I'm getting that kind of close to what it's supposed to be called. Look, let me give you a bit of background on this. First of all, Thor is one guy. It is one guy. He's a bit of a DIY pro with some loyal followers from China, of course. And he makes IEMs kind of like a passion project. He's a one-man team. Every IEM is handmade specifically by him. And I think this is the Mark II of the Thor Mjolnir. Let's have a look at it now. So, and I'll tell you about it. First of all, the price is $399. Also, bring that box back because it comes in a plain black box. Inside, you get 3 pairs of foam tips, 3 pairs of silicone tips, and of course you get the IEMs and this cable. The cable is not too bad at all. It is a little bit thin above the Y splitter, but it's nice. It handles well. It is a little bit tangly, but not too bad. I haven't really had any problems using it. But look at those beautiful shells. That's nice, huh? So the faceplates have got this sort of sparkly, glittery pattern in them. Not too flashy, but definitely looks pretty sweet. They look kind of premium. They feel pretty premium. Nice build on them. Aluminium nozzle. So $399. Inside is a custom 12.56mm Fusion diaphragm dynamic driver. Now the Fusion diaphragm is a composite of DLC or diamond-like carbon and polyether ether ketone or PEEK. And not only that, and PU or polyurethane materials as well. So it's a pretty complex driver. I think it's unique, or at least it was at the time these were built. On the faceplates here, you can see those 2 vents. Well, I hope you can see those 2 vents. Now, inside those, you've got a replaceable Knowles dampening filter from a Knowles balanced armature driver. And you can actually change those out for a different filter. So you can modify the level or the quantity of bass by changing out those filters, which is pretty cool. All right, let's talk about the sound. I don't have a graph for this one, but you don't need it. We'll do without the graph for today. Let me tell you about it. The Mjolnir has an upfront presentation. It's pretty vivid. It's pretty lively. It's definitely a bass-oriented sound. The bass is boosted significantly. You could sometimes call it even a bass head IEM. It's not really that extreme, but it depends more on the recording. If a recording calls for massive bass, the Mjolnir will deliver definitely, but it's not a super bass heavy IEM, but it does have some low end authority and power when it's needed. Both the sub bass and the mid bass are pretty large in quantity. Yet at the same time, it's an airy bass. It's incredibly textured and a layered bass. It's fantastic. It's just so nice. And it's quite fast too. It never really gets bogged down or trips over itself. And perhaps the best thing of all, despite the forwardness and the quantity of the bass, it barely bleeds at all into the lower mids. The mid-range has got this fantastic clarity. It's got awesome instrument separation, resolution. Mid-range detail is excellent. The mid-range isn't really recessed. It's kind of a U-shaped sound signature overall, but in fact, the way that the mids are balanced with that exuberant bass is part of the reason the Mjolnir is so extraordinary. And yeah, it is an extraordinary sounding IEM. There's an underlying warmth, which is a result of that bass, but the tone of the mids is actually fairly neutral. Great clarity, as I said, really good transparency, and lots of detail in the mid-range. Vocals are articulate, they're fairly forward, and they're quite intimate. They don't have any trouble rising above the bass, and they create a nice stable center image as well. And then there's the treble, and the treble is another area where the Mjolnir seemingly defies logic. It's got this crisp, precise and airy treble, yet at the same time it's easy on the ears and it's free of sibilance. The treble's got pretty good extension. It's a little rolled off in the upper treble, but cymbals and hi-hats sort of trail off naturally into the air, so it's a pretty good treble overall. The detail retrieval is good, as I said, and that is a result of the precise treble and the overall transparency of the Mjolnir. And then finally, we've got the Soundstage, and the Soundstage isn't really huge or expansive, but is a really good quality stage, and that comes from the fantastic sense of depth that the Mjolnir creates. The instrument separation is unbelievably good for a single dynamic driver, and each separate sound is sort of compartmentalized in that soundstage. It occupies its own unique space within the stage. And listening to it, you'd almost think, yeah, I actually forgot that it was a single dynamic driver. I was thinking it was a hybrid, because you've got that big meaty low end, that fantastic bass. Then you've got these vivid, lively, clear mid-range, a real clean mid-range, and then this light, sparkly, fairly precise and crisp treble, but smooth treble. It really sounds like a hybrid IEM, but it's all coming from this single dynamic driver, and I guess that is in part due to the special acoustic chamber, that 3D printed acoustic chamber inside the shells. But really, this is an extraordinary IEM. So big props to Thor, the guy who makes these. It is so nice to listen to. Look, let's do a real quick comparison with the Moondrop Kato here. There they are side by side. So they're pretty much the same size. This one's got resin shells. This one is metal, as you can probably guess from looking at it. Both have got 2-pin connectors. Now the Kato has a lighter tonality. It doesn't have as much bass, and because it has a lighter bass, it has leaner note, thinner note size as well. In the treble, I'd say the Mjolnir has a little bit more energy and crispness, but both of these don't give me any trouble. No stridency or shrillness or harshness from the treble with either of these. But when I listen to them side by side, the Mjolnir has better note density. It's got a stronger center image. The instrument separation is good on both, but somehow the Mjolnir just makes things more vivid. The placement and imaging within the soundstage is superior on the Thor here. Look, honestly, I'm just a bit dumbstruck by these. They are fabulous. So who is the Thor Mjolnir for? Well, first of all, you've got to like an elevated bass. This has got a nice, meaty, punchy, authoritative bass, but a so good quality bass. It's got this beautiful, clean mid-range. It's got this lively treble. So you have to like bass, first of all. Secondly, if you don't care too much about fancy packaging, that's another thing. And if you don't care so much about brand names or well-known brand names, then, check these ones out. They are totally worth it, in my opinion. Just such a good IEM, a real surprise. One of the nicest earphones I've heard so far this year, I think. And I don't know what else to say, so I'm going to just wrap it up there. That is the Thor Mjolnir $3.99. I recommend these. I think it's just so good. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, give it the old thumbs up, Parfam audiophile style. Drop me a comment down below and tell me have you tried the Mjolnir? Because I don't think too many people have tried it. They're not willing to go out on a limb for a brand that they haven't heard of, or that hasn't been sufficiently hyped enough in the forums and Discord and stuff like that. That reminds me, come and join us in the Discord. Links down below, and links to my social media, Patreon, etc. Yeah, we're going to leave it there. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can see future content. And until next time, I'll see you later.